All right. Welcome back, where we are going to continue with situation analysis, and we are on lesson 14. In lesson 9, I introduced the topic of situation analysis, meaning that throughout this week and upcoming weeks, we are going to be doing situation analysis, and we are going to be doing this situation analysis on many elements. As we discussed that there are two main elements of the digital marketing environment, the macro environment and the micro environment. And under the micro environment, there are sub-elements. We look at customers, we look at competitors, we look at intermediaries, we look at suppliers, we look at employees and so forth. So we have been looking at customers, and we are going to continue to look at customers in this lesson, which is lesson 14, and also in lesson 15 and 16. Then lesson 17, we should be looking at competitors. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand online customer experience, because the customer experience that we've always discussed in marketing is always offline. But since you are dealing with digital marketing, it means that we are going to be discussing online customer experience. And you also need to understand buyer personas. Other textbooks call it segment profiles, because in order for you to know who you're talking to, you need to build a profile on your segments. So these are some of the key concepts that we are going to be discussing as this lesson unfolds. You come across a persona, conversion marketing, demand analysis, situation analysis, multi-screening, and online marketplace. Some of these terms have already been covered before. So since you are traveling, I wouldn't want you to be talking on the roads and stuff like that. But I would have loved that we discuss this. I hear your input. It's just that the challenge, of course, is that you're on the road, and I'd not want you to sound as if you are crazy talking on your own, people crossing you and stuff. In reality, we do have experiences. We've got experience with our family members. We've got experience with our colleagues at workplace. We have got experience with fellow congregants at church and so forth. We also do have experience with brands, but people must understand that there's a difference between experience and perception. There's a difference between experience and assumptions. So you cannot just assume that customers are A, B, C, D. You cannot just assume that brands are like A, B, C, D. You need to have the real encounter with those brands for you to say that you've got an experience with them. And the reason why we are talking about online experience is that we encounter, as brands, customers do encounter us on different platforms, be it on social media, be it via email, be it on mobile applications. Customers always encounter brands, and how the encounters unfold forms part of the experience. The experience can be good, and the experience can also be bad. If the experience is good, it may lead to customer loyalty. It may lead to brand advocates and so forth. But if experience is bad, it can lead to loss of customers, boycotts, and so forth. So this is why it is very important and crucial to understand customer experience in digital marketing. Understanding the individual nature of customers is fundamental to digital marketing practice and planning. There are many factors which influence online behavior, and over time, the market segments that use the internet and digital services have changed significantly. Therefore, it is important for digital marketers to be aware of the behavior variables and to understand how to model online consumer behavior. So studies have already been done, even though it's been a while. For example, this source is from 1999. However, even during those days, especially in the Western countries where people have shopped even before 2000, it can be argued that online shoppers used to be young male who were generally better educated and wealthier than their contemporaries. They also had both confidence and desire to experiment with the internet, what at the time was a new channel. So that was in 1999. And think about it now, it's no longer young male, it's actually everyone, except babies, of course. So some brands specifically targeted these types of consumers and developed services to suit their needs. And there are two key areas which can prove fruitful when aiming to identify a variable. So you need to understand the demographic. Who is it that you are targeting? How often are they online? How do they interact with online platforms, digital platforms? What is it that influences their online behavior? You also need to understand their attitudes, their thoughts, their beliefs, their perceptions that might influence their online behavior and in particular, a consumer's intention to shop. So what is it that motivates them to buy? So why are we even talking about customer experience in a digital marketing class? By studying the variables which influence the consumer's experience in the digital environment, it becomes possible to analyze their future intentions to continue to use digital services and to shop online. For example, the impact of consumers' personal experiences with no convenience, site design, and security may affect overall certification with a particular website. By investigating variables associated with the consumer's experience, digital marketers begin to understand how to increase loyalty and trust through digital platforms and digital services. As the digital environment continues to evolve and grow, further research is being conducted, providing us with an even greater understanding of the online customer experience. So we realize that nowadays there are algorithms that can track or learn your social media behavior, how you interact with platforms, who you chatting with, what is it that you are saying, what messages are you clicking on, and so forth, your browser history, just to understand who are these people, your cookies, and so forth. So customer interactions with the brand's digital environment create opportunities for positive experiences that can lead to long-term building. So we go back again to those 8 antecedents that we discussed in the previous lesson. And I'm not going to dig deeper into them because we already discussed them. However, they do contribute to digital experience. You know, how your customers process information is always crucial because it can determine whether they are going um, to buy or not. For example, information processing. If your website has got heavy jargon, heavy words, it's even difficult to understand those words. People will go where there's simple English, where they can easily understand. So if the experience is tough from a linguistic point of view, customers might ditch you just for that. It's always crucial to understand all those elements. Then how do we use the 8 antecedents to build customer experience? Of course, you know that those 8 antecedents do have an impact on what your thoughts are, meaning what is it that your mind, what is it on your mind, which is cognitive state. It can also have an impact on how you feel about certain products or brands, which is affective state. So what you think on your mind and how you feel will contribute to satisfaction if you are satisfied, and that could lead to customer retention, you being able to buy and over. But of course, if the experience is too bad, it means that you are not going to buy. And some customers, if the experience is too bad, it does not only necessarily mean that they are not going to buy, it means that they can even spread to others that please do not go and buy there. So you need to be very crucial and try to be very careful and try by all means to make sure that customers have got a good experience with you, because if they've got a bad experience, they are going to recruit others uh, and discourage them to buy from you. So that's why at all the times the experience must always be perfect, be desirable, so that customers can recruit others to come and buy from you instead of dissuading them from buying from you. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Then, of course, we do have personas. This, by the way, is covered in your assignment. There's an assignment that talks about the persona. So it's very crucial to understand and the concept of personas, because students struggle a lot to understand what is a persona. They always have this nice picture that they did on Canva, and they'll be like, meet Tabo, a 22-year-old person and stuff like that. But they do not understand, like, what is it that I need to get from Tabo. So it's always crucial to understand this concept of a persona. You need to understand that a persona is a non-existent individual. So it's an imagery thing in your mind that you are attributing to something that exists. So you are asking yourself, like, I am running a company. I'm running a company that sells t-shirt. So you're asking yourself, like, who is likely going to buy from me? Where is that person based? How much are they earning? So a persona is based on facts. You need to conduct research on your ideal profile. I always tell students that a persona is like finding a wife or a husband. We all have an ideal person in our mind of who we are going to marry as a student. If I were to ask you as a student, who is your ideal person? Who is it that you want to marry? Like, I want to marry a Zulu woman who is tall, who is light, who is educated, who is respecting, and so forth. And there's a reason why you say you want to marry a Zulu woman. Maybe research has told you that Zulu women are respecting. That's what set them apart from other tribes, be it Sutu or Tswana and so forth. This is just an example. So you do not provide um, characteristics to your profile based on assumption. It has to be based on research. There is something that convinces you that a Zulu woman is going to do XYZ if you were to marry them. So it is the same thing when you are creating a persona. Don't just come up with an assumption that Tabo is going to buy from me. You need to go out there and look for information on the groups around Tabo and how they can be your ideal customer. So a persona is a fictional profile typically informed by research that represents a particular target audience. Personas are a tool which can help in understanding online customer characteristics and behavior. Creating personas is a powerful technique for developing customer-centered digital marketing strategies, brand presence, and campaigns, and form part of marketing analysis. Therefore, consumer personas have been used for a long time in research for segmentation and advertising, but in recent years have also proved effective for improving website design by companies that have applied this technique. So when you are coming up with a website, you need to ask yourself, who is likely going to visit my website? Where are they from? You build a profile on that. Then all of a sudden, the content that you are having on that profile will suit. Maybe if tell you yourself that the person who is going to view your website is a youth, it means that your content must be tailored for the youth. If your profile is for the old people, it means that your content, your language must resonate with the old people. So that's it about consumer experience. Most of the aspects were covered in the previous lesson. However, it is crucial to understand how the antecedents can influence a customer's motivations to engage with the digital offer and look for opportunities to create a competitive advantage by overcoming potential barriers. It's always crucial to understand what customers are going through so that you can capitalize on that and do what your competitors are not doing. So this is why customers are very crucial, very, very crucial. And are there any questions?
No question, no question.
Okay. If I'm sprinting, please bear with me. You can stop me if I'm too fast. I'm just trying to cover as many things as possible before we start yawning here since it's in the evening.
Yeah, no
Hmm.
problem.
All right. Then in the next lesson, we're going to have an exercise on one day only, applying everything that you have learned so far. By the way, we've done great so far.